What's going on, guys, and welcome to September's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month, and at the end of the month, we talk about it. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
I'm Chris.
And a couple quick reminders that we talked about Street Fighter V and PUBG on Plus Club. If you missed that, make sure to go check that out. Join that conversation. We do not know the games for PlayStation Plus in October yet. Once we do, we'll let you guys know, in case you don't know, and we'll talk about that as well. And our game of the month picked by Chevy was Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So stay tuned for that. Don't just leave right after this intro and be like, all right, that was fun. Yeah, we got a Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. If you prefer to listen to us, we have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel further than liking, commenting, and sharing and watching the videos all the way through. Thank you for all of your support. It's very much appreciated. And you type in hashtag AskTLG on your comment if you'd like it to be considered for our reading your comments and replying to them segment on every Tastecast that we do. If you don't type that in, I pick at random. So if your comment's not picked, you should type that in. And then one last thing that I'm going to kind of push a little bit more on the channel lately because I have a goal I'm trying to hit. We are closing in on 2,000 subscribers, which is crazy. Less than a year ago, we hit 1,000. We did a 24-hour stream. We're not doing a 24-hour stream on 2,000, but we will do something. I think we'll probably just have like a group stream and hang out, something a little more casual, less
Us dying.
exhausting for us old guys. Yeah, we have less than 100 subscribers left until we hit 2,000, and that's fucking wild to me. So what I want to say to you guys is, first off, thank you for subscribing. We got some new subscribers recently, too. Hopefully you enjoy what we do here. We enjoy hearing from you guys and having you watch. But also, tell your friends, maybe share the channel around, share videos, and let's try and get that number up to 2,000. I think it'd be awesome to grow this community. I'm really stoked about this community. And pretty much almost 2,000 fucking people, and we have nothing but great conversations every week. So I'd like to extend that to more people. So it'd be very cool to get there by the end of the year, which would be really dope. So yeah, wanted to throw that out there. And again, thank you for all the support you guys give us. So game of the month, we played Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. But before we talk about the game Chevy picked, it's Chevy's fault we played this. That might be good, that might be bad. You don't know. Or maybe you do, maybe you played it. We have to pick our game of the month for October. PlayStation Plus might not have told us what our games are yet, but I can tell us what our randomly generated game is. I'm hitting a random generator. We have 19 games on our list, and we're going to find out which one we're going to play. The number is 10, and the number 10 is Dragon's Dogma.
Perfect.
That's cool. I've been needing a reason to go play that. So in October, we'll be playing Dragon's Dogma. I'm sure Josh will be very excited about that. What do we think?
It's a game I bought and didn't play, so perfect.
There's an anime that just came out of it, too.
Yeah.
Maybe we can watch that and talk about that.
That could be a fun little side piece for that.
Yeah.
Give me an excuse to actually turn on Netflix.
Yeah. You have Netflix. We both have access to it. Neither of us really use it.
Yeah.
I think Mom uses it.
It's pretty much why I pay for it.
Yeah. So at least someone's enjoying it. Chris, thoughts?
I bought this game on, I think it was on 360 when it first came out. Way back when. And I played it for like maybe 6 hours, and then I haven't touched it since. It was interesting, but didn't have much super interest after I bought it, which is kind of sad.
And the more recent versions of the game are, I forgot what they're called, Dark something.
Dark Messiah?
No.
No, that's
That's a different
Might and
game.
Magic Dark Messiah, which is a game I love. Which is weird that you're even bringing that up. Why would you bring this up? It's something, but it's an extended version. There's more content and shit. So, but if you want to play a 360 version too, that'd be an interesting discussion to have. See if it stacks up to the newer versions. I don't know. It's interesting that Dragon's Dogma has just kind of existed for so long on so many fucking things.
Side note, the combat director for that is the combat director for Final Fantasy 16.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat as you. When I played it, I actually really enjoyed what I played, but then I took a break and I came back and I didn't remember what the fuck I was doing. And then I was like, and then I just stopped playing and I haven't played since. So, when I play again, I will be starting brand new.
Same.
Because I'm actually excited to play this because this is a game that I always think about. Like, man, the game was pretty cool. I wish I could get back into it. Well, now I have to get back into it, so it's perfect. And
I might just pick it up on PC.
yeah, I should probably do the same.
Yeah.
I'm really kind of like transferring all my games from PS4 that can be on PC to my PC because I'm kind of in next gen mode right now. So I'm getting ready to abandon my boy. He's been a good boy. It's been a good boy for however long the PS4 Pro's been out. I've had it for a while now, but my old boy is Josh's boy now. He has my original PS4, unless he fucking did something with it. Anyway, we're going to be playing Dragon's Dogma in October, so that should be a fun conversation to have. Let us know in the comments if you guys have played it, and don't tell me too much about what you think about it, because we're gonna talk about that. So, so let's jump into Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. If you didn't get a chance to play Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, it is the chronicle of crystals and crystal chalices that you have to pick up and walk through maps with up to 4 people in a party, whether you play with random people or people you know, using friend codes, an archaic system that Nintendo still likes to use. And this game, you play as different classes and coordinate moves together to do really cool elemental moves. And it's a team effort. This is a game that came out on the GameCube.
Yes.
And came out again on iOS, Android, Switch, and PS4. For some reason, Xbox got no love.
Same with that mobile game that just came out.
Genshin Impact?
Yeah, also not on Xbox or Switch this time.
I don't get it. We all played it, and I figured we should start with Chevy, since he's the one who picked this game, and we'll jump into our impressions.
All right. Firstly, when the game originally came out on GameCube, I had picked it up then, and it was really difficult to sit down and play the game because it was, on a Nintendo console, and so they were trying to be clever with the way multiplayer worked on it. And that was by...
That's Nintendo's whole story, is trying to be clever, and a lot of times they are clever, and a lot of times they're not.
Well, this time clever was expensive because everyone had to have a Game Boy Advance.
It's expensive clever.
And a controller adapter, essentially, that plugged into the GameCube to your Game Boy Advance, and that's how you did that for some reason. So maybe it was DS, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was Game Boy Advance. Anyways, didn't know a lot of people willing to like come over with that kind of hardware and play that game. So like I didn't really get to experience it too much. That being said, they announced they were redoing it. I was like, oh, cool. Like an actual chance to play this game with a normal controller, with people online. I'm totally excited to finally like try that game out. So we did. And first thing I noticed right off the bat is the remastered soundtrack is awesome. But
yeah, I really like it too.
Yeah, Square usually doesn't fail in the music department. So
even their shitty games typically have good music.
Yeah, or at least passable music. Like
yeah.
I never like, God, this song is awful. So
The Bouncer.
I don't remember.
I don't know either.
I don't remember having a bad soundtrack.
I feel like it had some kind of like DOA or DMC, some kind of game starts with a D soundtrack.
That game was way out of left field for them though.
Where's The Bouncer 2? Let's get that.
I'd rather see a Bushido Blade again.
I'd see both. Let's do it. On Square.
So after the music, the first thing I noticed too was that the game started up and they did a really good job making the game look as good as they can for what it is. And then when you kind of play through and you get the tutorial mode, I started to notice some of the issues, but and the big one is there's a weird delay, especially in Melee, where you click and you're supposed to, in succession, with good timing, you can do up to 3 swings. The timing is very particular, and it seems like there's almost a little bit of a delay when you hit the button between swings, and that made combat not very fluid.
I feel like there's an overall delay to the PS4 version in general.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to get to that point as well.
Yeah, it's weird.
Menu systems had a slight delay. I mean, everything had a little bit of slight delay, but nothing I couldn't work around and keep playing the game with.
It's noticeable, but so minimal it will not affect my grade in this.
Yeah, and one, it's not like a super fast-paced game, so like,
Yeah.
It wasn't game-breaking.
Yeah, if this was Street Fighter 5, it would have made that even
Any
worse.
fighting game. So yeah, other than that, hopping in and being able to play the 4 races, and go through and like see the worlds and stuff, it made me really kind of appreciate the experimental nature that they had with this game. I really think they had a really good base of a game idea there. And honestly, the only thing I think it's missing is just like some depth. It's a very shallow experience. And
You can tell that when this game first came out, it was first an experiment and second like a game that they were like passionate about.
for sure.
Not to say that they weren't passionate about making this game, but you can tell somebody came up with the idea of like, can we use mobile consoles as controllers?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, let's build something around that.
And it is a very neat idea, and I like a lot of the ideas in which the game's going. The multi player like combo moves, whether that's magic and melee or magic and magic to create new spells and stuff like that, I think is a really cool system. It adds a layer of teamwork that I've only really seen outside of that in like, I guess Magicka would be a good example of that,
Yeah.
where you can mix spells and stuff.
In fact, you just made me look at Magic in a whole new light. I feel like it was very inspired by this game.
Yeah, they're very similar in that regard, other than in Magicka you can kill your friends, but
Well, Josh can kill his friends. Most people are pretty decent at it.
but yeah, so I mean, if you've played Magicka, you kind of have an idea. Just think older and slower pace. The Final Fantasy Crest Chronicles, pretty much. The boss fights, I think, are pretty neat, and they do start getting harder as you go through, and do require some form of teamwork, especially if you put yourself at a disadvantage to play 2-player. Like, not to speak too much for Chris, but like me and Chris did, boss fights were a lot harder when me and him played together versus when the 3 of us got to play together.
Or when I played with a full fucking group of 4.
Yeah, so
Because like I did a boss at one point with 4 of us. We walked up and we're all like, bap, 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 and the thing died. And then when us 3 got there, you guys are like, okay, you do this and this, and you guys are like strategizing. I'm sitting there like, don't we hit it? And you guys are like, I'm gonna do this. Okay, you do that. Blah blah blah. Over in your corner talking about it. I'm like, And then we got in the fight, and I'm getting poisoned and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You guys are like, use this, use this. I'm like, what the hell? So it was definitely a different experience with just like one less person. I was thinking about, I was like, 2 people, and this would suck.
it was rough. So yeah, I mean, I think another reason I kind of like have a fondness for it too is that it kind of fits into the same genre as things. And this is gonna be kind of a weird example, but like your Phantasy Stars, your Monster Hunters, your Warframe, stuff like that is effectively a very early version of a hub-based game where you hop into a match with people.
Well, I mean, PSO and this came out
on the same
around-
console,
around the same time.
Wow.
So.
Okay, so it was, I guess, at one console before, but yeah.
And yeah, it came out on Dreamcast.
Yeah.
But they're not the same, but I get a really heavy like similarity of like whatever neurons in my brain are sparking up when I play something like PSO, and there's
Yeah.
like a simplicity to it, but I'm still enjoying myself. This game has something similar going on.
It does. It's missing depth. And
Weapons.
the biggest thing there,
Unlock like a bunch of random shit.
we have to find blueprints, and then you have to build the weapons, and there's
Yeah.
not. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of them. And then the other thing too is like you don't earn experience points and level in this game. You complete missions and get relics to get your stat points, which I think is a neat system.
I think it's a cool system.
But between that being a progression point and you not getting gear very often, you don't really feel like you're progressing quickly. And not that I think you need to feel like you're flying through a game. I don't need Torchlight 2, for example, but like it needs to be just a pinch faster, I feel.
I feel like though this game specifically for its time probably was offering quite a bit for a game like this, because I think this game really embraces an arcadey gaminess
For sure.
that is more important to it than being an RPG.
And I am trying to be kind of fair in the regards of it is an older game. I'm not going to sit here and rip apart the things like I didn't like about it, because I realize from the time it came out versus how games are designed now, completely different philosophies. I think the only part that really is like just a huge headache out of this whole thing. And I think most of you probably have seen this online as well, but the multiplayer is not convenient in any way to do. You have a friend code system like Seth brought up earlier in the episode. You have to add each other. You have to start a room. People have to join the room. And then you get to do a 2-minute mission. And then you have to reset everything up. And every person's progression can't be done at the same time. They have to be host. So you have to take turns. I do understand that this game came from a system where, like I said before, you played with memory cards and you played with these controllers for multiplayer versus now where the times have changed and they had to make this game and adapt it to work with that system. They probably could have done a little better job, but I do think for what it is, it's not too horrible, but I think the biggest thing I would have liked to see is the matchmaking. Once you have your friends added, it should be a little easier to get matches with
The
them.
initial code exchanging is the worst part about it.
Yeah.
After that, you can just go into a menu and invite people per dungeon. Still per dungeon, but you have to. It's a lot better than putting in a code every time. Yeah. Although if you're streaming this game, it's kind of a system that could work with random people in a way that I think is interesting. But I don't want to defend it too much because I feel like it was a misstep.
Yeah.
But it's not as bad as I think a lot of people have made it out to be.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, other than that, I think overall the gameplay itself is fun enough. I think in an updated version of this game, it could actually be a cool series, and I really hope that there was enough interest for it that they will make, or at least remake, some of the ones that were sequels before, or maybe just reignite the series in general. Because I do think there's good ideas there, and I think a modern touch on it can make a huge difference. And this can be a great example as well. But like, I enjoy Monster Hunter games, but then Monster Hunter World came out, and I was like, holy crap, this is so modern now. I'd like to see that. Just that huge modern jump for the series. On a side note on that as well, they experimented with a Monster Hunter style game called Final Fantasy Explorers. Try it again.
It was cool.
It's a cool idea.
I would love to see it on console.
They didn't put enough development time into it. I'd love to see a full-fledged version come out.
Or at least put on Switch so I can play it on TV.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, I had a pretty good time. It's got some flaws that are impossible to overlook. But overall, I think if you have the patience to get through it, I do think there's a fun game there. I don't think I can play this by myself. It's definitely multiplayer centric. And the last point is, the game is on mobile, like Android and iOS, and it is ridiculously responsive on the phone in comparison to the console. It's weird. I've never played an action game on my phone and preferred it over a controller. Crystal Chronicles plays better on a phone.
There's no fucking lag.
There's no delay.
Input lag. Yeah, there's nothing. It's weird. I don't get it. I feel like they made it for the phone first, and then they ported it to console.
It does feel like that.
It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
It's like that idea, like, let's put Crystal Chronicles on phone. They're like, why don't we put it on console while we're at it? And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it might play great on Switch. I don't know. But on phone, the responsiveness was better. I would prefer a controller, but, like, it looks very clean on a small screen. Mm-hmm. And, when you hit the button, it's very responsive. Yep. And it was weird. And, like, the UI set up really well.
Spells, you just swipe.
Yeah.
It's super easy.
Yeah, I feel like it was the first thought. Like, it's so much better that I kind of... And you said it has cross-save?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to buy it on my phone. Because it's a game I could totally see myself doing a dungeon while I'm out doing something.
For sure.
So, I might pick it up on there. But, which is cool that we even tried it, because we can have that discussion.
Yeah.
Because we did play it on PS4 and Android, and you were on iOS.
Yes.
So, covered quite the only thing we didn't play it on Switch.
Yeah. I thought about downloading the demo, but
I'm kind of curious, but I don't want to overlook. I mean, I got fucking Genshin Impact on my phone, on my PC, and my PS4. I don't need to be doing this shit to me.
It's that Play Anywhere thing, man.
Yeah. Well, that cross-save shit's fucking pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like stuff that does that.
For sure. Yeah. Anyways, that's my general impressions of the game. So,
Chris?
So I played the original in passing at a friend's house, and that was kind of like my experience with the game for the most part, but I was always really interested in playing it. Like just like the concept of it in general, and playing this really brought back that nostalgia of it. It's really true to how the game was, with the modern soundtrack to it and a little visual updates. But it still feels like that original game. It's really fun. There are, like they said, 4 races, but they're each unique in that they don't tell you this, but they have different aspects to them. So the little onion people are physically the strongest. They do the most melee damage, but they're the weakest casters. It takes the longest time for them to charge up their spells.
Doesn't it say that before you pick one? Doesn't it have this little thing that explains every race? Pretty sure
I don't recall it having that.
Oh, I made a character like 4 different times, and each time there was this thing that you go through, and it's got each race and what they're known for and shit. Maybe you just skipped over it quickly or something.
I might have just skipped over real quick because I know after I looked up before I started playing like what each race was and how they were gonna play, and I really wanted to play spells or caster, so I picked, I don't remember what they are, but they're just these crazy bird people. Ukes, Ukes.
Yeah.
And I picked them because I remember the spells being crazy and really flashy. And boy, when you get a bunch of people casting spells together and do those combos, they get real flashy, real fucking fast. And it's really just satisfying to watch you. Even just 2 people casting Cure together and getting the timing right to get Curaga, it covers the whole screen. Everybody gets fully healed, and it's sparkly, flashy like craziness. It's just, it's really satisfying.
And the thing I like about it is like the game is simplistic in its combat, but to combine spells and attacks together, there's some orchestration involved. You gotta kind of plan that, or at least look for people to do things and then try and meet them with your move. And in some games, maybe it'd be a little beneficial, but in this, it really seems to reward the more coordination you have. Yeah. So, like, you could play the game like I played with random people, where just random smacked the thing and it died eventually because we're just hitting it a lot. But if you had like 4 people who are just on their shit, casting spells together and doing these big fucking things, like you were saying with the healing moves, the first one's like this little dot you got to get right on the guy pretty much, and it heals one person, and then the one later is like, and everybody heals, and it's worth it. In a situation where you might want to use that, whereas like you might not want to use that, you might want to just use a single heal. It's got those options, but it really rewards exactly what this game was made for: team play.
It is just so satisfying, and there's so many combos of spells that you can put together, and if you have to put them in the right order too. So like, for example, if one person casts fire and the other person casts raise, and mix them together, if you cast fire first, it makes holy, but if the person lets go of raise first, it creates slow. So it's really important to know like what the combos are and how they interact and who needs to go what at timing. Yeah, it is. It's great. It's so satisfying to sit there and just cast spells together. But there is some glaring issues that we've already talked about. The multiplayer is the biggest problem. Just having to recreate lobbies and hop out and re-hop back in. You can't do more levels together. You can do the same level over and over again. It just gets really frustrating to have to jump out, back in, out, back in, out, back in. But it still is just it's probably the nostalgia for me, but it was a really fun experience, and I kept it on my system. I'm not going to install it. I'm going to keep playing it. I made it to year 4 solo. So, I mean, I'm playing it. I'm having a good time doing it. And the experience solo play is great, because normally in the multiplayer, you can only have like a blizzard, a fire, a thunder. But when you have single player, you can fuse those spells in your slots automatically. So you don't have to worry about having multiple people at once. If you have fire and blizzard, you can have it slotted to be gravity, or 2 blizzards make Blizzara, and just have that spell ready to go. It's a really fun system.
Yeah, I'm glad that they allow you to play it single player, but I think it really, if you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it. But I think it only exists so that people who aren't playing with people can play the game, because this game really feels like it was designed, in my opinion, for 4 people to play. and I'm being specific there. Like, you can play with 2 people, you can play with 3 people, those all work fine. But I feel like the game really works the way it was intended with 4 people.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting. It seems very intentional that they want you to have 4 people playing that game. And when you play by yourself, it starts altering the game in ways that make it so it can be played with one person. For instance, the Moogle that will carry the chalice for you, which is nice because then the chalice just kind of flies behind you everywhere. But it's a very different experience than playing with people who are picking it up and moving around, or some random dude with the laggy ass fucking phone connection who just is like, I'll pick that up, and then they start wandering off in weird ways and shit, and you're like, where's the fuck is he going?
And you have to follow.
So like I don't want to sound like I'm saying like, well, a single player is not the way the game's intended to be played. It's good it's there because, you know, there's sometimes I like to play games by myself a lot. But like, and there's people who just straight up don't want to play games with people, whether it's because they don't have people to play with or they just don't like playing with people. I see that on fucking forums all the time. People are like, I don't want to play with people. Yeah. I don't want a multiplayer game. Especially always online games. Like, I don't want to be around people. So it's good it has that option, but I really feel like this game it just seems so obvious that it was so intended to be a 4-player game. And back in the day, Nintendo's trying to push those fucking portable consoles. That was their bread and butter for a long time. And
kind of still is.
Kind of made sense for them to have this idea of like, oh, all your friends better have fucking Game Boys in their pocket, and if they're over at your house with them, you guys can play this game. Like, oh, that's cool. Couldn't you play it straight off one disc and everyone else didn't have to own it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is pretty. Nintendo's been doing shit like that for a long time.
The other game I know that worked that way too was Zelda 4 Swords.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, and even some games on Switch do that, like Mario Kart 8.
Yeah. Well, they've always been really good about it too. I remember owning when the original DS came out, Puyo Pop Fever came out, and one person could own the game and 8 people could play off that
so
one
Nintendo
cartridge.
is no stranger to doing shit like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to kind of bring that up because I was going to bring that up independently, but like you brought up something, remind me of it. So, anything else?
It was a fun experience of nostalgia.
Yeah. Okay. Since we're talking about adding context there, back during the GameCube era, this could be blasphemy. I wasn't a fan of the GameCube. I think it had some good games. I think it had some really big titles. Namely,
we played the shit out of PSO.
Oh yeah, no, I loved PSO. Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, I fucking loved. Resident Evil 4 came out on GameCube. That was fucking huge at the time. That was like a must-own game. There's a bunch of really good games on the GameCube, but I wasn't a fan of the controller. I know so many people love that controller. Don't fucking kill me.
Yeah, that one I don't understand either.
I'm not a fan of it. It looked like a toy. It felt like a toy. I hate the weird octagonal fucking thumbsticks and shit.
And the plungers.
Yeah, they weren't actual triggers. They were plungers. I fucking hated it. So anyway, I wasn't a huge fan of that console. And I wouldn't say I wasn't a fan of JRPGs at the time. I was a little more specific in the JRPGs I enjoyed at that time in my gaming fucking journey. I was playing games like Front Mission a lot of tactical RPGs at the time, but a lot of Final Fantasy games I wasn't a huge fan of. I liked 7 and all the main ones, but like all the side projects, I'm like, I don't want to play that shit. This is one of those games. So me and this guy are related, in case you guys don't know. And he had the game, and I was like, well, I don't got a fucking Game Boy for that shit, so I ain't playing that. And I'm not playing it by myself, so I didn't. But I saw it. I knew of it, blah, blah, blah. So if you've been following the channel, when this was first announced, me and you specifically, when we first watched the trailer for it, we're like, whoa, that's fucking cool. It's coming back out. Because that was a game, in retrospect, I felt like I should play, because I'm like a fucking huge JRPG nerd now. Like fucking every time there's a new one, I'm like, well, what's that? I don't even know what this is, but like it's colorful. Or it's got whimsical music. I love this shit. And I was really interested in playing it. And so came out, we played it. Like I said before, I played on Android. I played it on PS4, and I really liked it. couple things too that I kind of want to, because I agree with a lot of the things you guys said, and I'll touch on a couple things. But it's interesting because this game came out and the reviews were not very nice with it, and
They're pretty harsh.
yeah, and even with those reviews, people were still like, "Well, fuck you, I'm gonna love it." And people are like, "Okay," like this one guy, I don't know who the hell he is, I don't recognize him, but he wrote the review for IGN. I don't even know if he works for IGN, but it's the first time I've ever fucking seen the guy. He was like, "I hate to say this, but I hated this game." I'm like, that's a weird way to put that. And then people were in the comments going, "Fuck you, this game's great." And he's like, "I know, I'm sorry." And then like I was like, "Well, I'm gonna enjoy this game." And he's like, "I hope you like it." And I'm like, Is he not? This is the only time I've seen him at IGN. He probably got fired because he's sitting here not fighting with people. He's just like, "I didn't want to write this review, but and I'm like, I can respect that. If you don't like the game, you don't like the game.
They picked like a guy who only plays shooters and like, we need you to review this game.
He's like, What is this?" He played, like,
I play Madden and only Madden. What's this game?
Well, and his big complaint among a lot of people's complaint with this game is it felt dated, and I felt inclined to want to, let people know it is dated.
Yeah.
It came out on GameCube. They didn't change it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to sound condescending. If that's your viewpoint, like it feels dated, and it's dated, and you still just don't like that old feel. I get that. Sometimes I have like this nostalgia for old games, and I'll play them, and I'm like, it's fun to revisit this, but I would never fucking play this in 2020. This shit plays like shit. I get that sometimes, but it was like the main criticism of a game that had been out, I think, for like 16 years or some shit. It's a pretty old game. And so that was kind of an interesting, normal complaint about the game. Other than that, people said, they didn't like the multiplayer. Those are the two biggest complaints I heard about. So going into it, not the reviews are going to shape my opinion, but, as an aggregate, I was like, is there real problems with this game? Went into it, and also people said that it looked not that great. They're like, it's barely a remaster. I looked at it. I don't think people remember what GameCube games look like.
I don't think so either.
Because it is really clean looking.
Yeah.
The textures aren't that great, but it's very smooth. That didn't look like that on fucking the old console.
They also added skins.
They added skins. They added content. They added an end game that people say is like a huge fucking jump in difficulty, like almost ridiculous, which I think sounds cool. Like if you beat that game and you're like done with shit, there's dungeons that are supposed to be very hard, and I think that sounds really cool. They added that wasn't in the original, so they added shit to this, which is cool. It's funny though, they added all that, but they couldn't modernize the multiplayer. They refused to do it. I know they could have done it, and people are like, "Please change it." I'm like, they're not going to change it. The game's out, and
They
you guys
did
are
patch it today though.
They're not going to change the multiplayer. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm like, I said this and I was completely fucking wrong. What an idiot. That shit doesn't happen very often, though. So, I feel like the history's on my side on that one. But I'd love to be wrong. Anyway, so going into it, really clean looking. Fucking love the music. Love the visual style. It brings me back to that era in Final Fantasy, around like Final Fantasy 9, where they had this weird kind of everything. Even Final Fantasy 12 has this like neutral colored greens and browns and bronzes and stuff, fantasy world, sprawling grassy fields and stuff with cool music. It brought me back to a time of Final Fantasy that we don't see anymore, except for the new Final Fantasy is looking like they're getting away from the sci-fi shit again. So it's kind of a cool time to be, checking out old and new Final Fantasy. Anyway, then I got kind of worried about the gameplay because people were like, it feels old. Started playing it, and when I played it first, I played it by myself. Instantly, I was like, a lot of people aren't going to like this. But, I could go back and play Phantasy Star Online to this day.
Yep.
Fuck the graphics. Fuck the press one button to attack and time it thing. I love it. So playing this, kind of like when I first played No Man's Sky, I just went, oh no, this is going to upset people.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm fine. But I was like, fuck, I understand why they're going to be upset. And like, if they say they don't like it, I'm not going to be like, what? And be like, yeah, I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me. But yeah, there's a really charming aspect to this game that fits so at home on the original GameCube. Nintendo is a charming company. They make charming games that everyone can play. This is a Final Fantasy game, but it has that Nintendo feel of like cutesy, characters and like going on this adventure and even fighting like all these bosses that you recognize from Final Fantasy, but they're all still kind of like these fatter versions of them. And you got this wagon, you're kind of rolling on this journey, and every once in a while these events will pop up, kind of like when you're in a world map of Final Fantasy. You'll hit something and an event happens.
Some jerk will steal my iron.
And like some guys will come running out of the bushes, just some doot 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 kind of music, and they like take your fucking apples or whatever, and they run off into the trees. And I was just like, okay, that happened.
Chris said they tried to rob him and they couldn't.
The old man fell asleep.
Yeah, mine, they were just like out front of the wagon, and these guys ran out behind, and then they ran to the trees, and it's like, you lost this, and it showed one of my items. And I was like, you dickheads.
Yep, they did the same to me. They stole my iron.
And then I ran to this Moogle, and he was like, fucking, got some booty, Kupo? I was like, I don't know what he's asking about, but I don't want to dive into that. I don't want to. Just going to hand him treasure and hope that's what he's talking about. Combat, I like. It's way more gratifying with 4 people. It feels like the way combat should be. You can play by yourself. It works, but it doesn't feel as satisfying to me to really nail those combos. Even the melee attacks, it seems you can time with other things when you hold the button. So, no matter what you're playing, you can work together as a team. I like the team aspect of it. I like the coordination. One thing when we were playing that I didn't realize, I thought all items were shared, but the spells aren't. And at first that confused me, but then I was like, it's because it's strategic.
Yeah.
You want to make sure everybody is picking and choosing accordingly. And I think it's at first like, what the fuck? That's janky. But I'm like, no, that makes sense. It's a gameplay thing. It makes sense. This is happening here now. It's not like items like, oh, apples and shit. Wherever the fuck you're finding out there and getting stolen from on your wagon. It's got this year system, which is interesting. It's got this system where you got to go through, miasma, by getting different elements on your chalice. And then it's got these towns, all these characters. It's got these Moogles. You can climb into fucking holes to go visit. And they're like, hey, bro, you want to paint me? And I'm like, fuck yes, I do. And he hands me the brush, and I'm like, okay. And I start painting his chest blue and the sides red and his back fucking green like a cape. And that apparently affects the way you said it. Is that for single player?
Yeah. He'll cast more spells of whatever color you have more of him on. So blue, he'll do more ice, fire is red, and I think lightning is green.
Yeah, so I had mostly red around his fucking chubby body. But I never used him. But yeah, as soon as he was just like, want to paint me? I'm like, yep. And then I did it. And then I just left the cave. I was like, all right, we're done here. But yeah, it's got, multiple different like races that are all essentially classes with different skins. Not a whole lot of customization at all, but you get to pick different ones. They added some character models in this newer version.
A fourth one for each race and sex combination.
I, without knowing, picked in whatever race I am, one of the newer models because they look demented. They just have like this weird, like absent, like, huh?
The Lilties.
Lilty, yeah.
It's the female Lilty, right?
Yeah, you guys should see it in the video here. But no, I think I was playing solo. I don't know. That might be the same character. I don't know. I made like 3 or 4 different characters. But yeah, overall, I mean, even with you guys all seem to have liked it, and we'll talk about it when it comes to grades. But when you guys are like, we got our complaints, I really don't have a whole lot of complaints. I like, it's weird, my view on it's pretty positive. I think they remastered this game in a very acceptable way. It's an old game. It looks smooth. It still looks great, in my opinion. The combat is old feeling. Re-recorded the music. It sounds great. The combat still feels good if you're playing. Someone I know played it. They only played it by themselves, and it didn't seem like. And I'm not going to speak for them too much, but it seemed like they were too impressed. They're more curious about the multiplayer, and I assured them that the multiplayer is where the game's at for sure. So if you didn't dig that, you'd probably dig it with people because it really changes the whole game. And yeah, the combat feels good at that point. When you're by yourself and you're just going and you're like, not being able to dodge and shit, it feels kind of off. But when you're with 4 people, you're able to like run away and get back, and someone else can start hitting them, stuff like that, and it feels a little more coordinated.
Well, especially like the goblin boss or whatever will pick like a person and just relentlessly chase them for a while.
Yeah.
That would be really hard by yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's not even the hard factor too that I'm even concerned about. It's that you're not experiencing it chasing after different parts of the party and going, oh shit, it's after me now. You guys blah blah blah. You're just like, okay, this thing's always fucking hitting me.
Yep.
And so you're having a completely different experience than you would when you play with anybody. The multiplayer system is inefficient. Sounds scarier than it is. But it reminds me of like when we were playing Code Vein.
Yeah.
Code Vein has a system where if you play multiplayer, it's really easy to do. It's great. I was like, oh, cool, you can just play multiplayer. But you have to have beaten the map that the person's playing to play it with them. So me and Shay were doing a system where we would we'd hop in on the same map together. We'd beat it on my save, and then I'd hop into his game, beat it on his save, and we're essentially grinding the second play. And we just played like that, and I didn't have any fucking issues doing that. If I had played the game further along, I could always come back and play yours, but and just kind of play yours to catch up. But at that point, I'd be fucking OP. But it was still doable, and I was willing to wait. But this game has a similar system.
Yeah.
The only thing that sucks is at first getting those codes sent around to people. It's not even that big a deal.
And getting used to the menus.
Getting used to the menus. They're a little older, blah, 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 blah. It would have been nice to just have some kind of modern party system where you can just invite everybody into your party and they're just in your party. Even if when you go into town, they're not there, which would be cool if they were. But even if they aren't, if you're still in the party and then you go to a dungeon and they're just with you every time, that would have been perfect. And I feel like they almost did that. It's like so close. So to simulate that, everybody's got their controller plugged into the GameCube feeling of like, I doubt every time you played on GameCube, you had to re-invite everybody on their fucking controllers. I don't feel like that was probably a system, but I didn't play it with people on their fucking, was it Game Boy Advanced? What the fuck were they playing on?
GBA, yeah.
Something.
Or the SP, because it's the same controller setup. Or not controller, cartridge setup.
Yeah. And a compliment I'll give this game is I'm not going to uninstall it. I still plan on playing it. Although I do feel like I want to play it on my phone. So I think I'm going to buy it a second time just so I feel like this is a game I can hop in and out of and play, randomly. And I like that there's games now that you can play on your phone and on your consoles, and they have cross save, because now I feel like I could play at somebody's house or something like that if I didn't want to bring my fucking PC or console.
Yeah.
And if it's playable, why not?
Especially once you get one of those controller things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get a Razer Kishi and try that out. The last thing I want to throw out there is I did play with random people. You guys did as well, but it's kind of on accident. We had our party open and someone just showed up, and one time it worked really well, another time it worked really well, and one time it didn't work very well.
One guy was a slime ball.
He was not very good at what he did. He had some lag, and he disappeared for like half the fucking match. He was just like, I'm not going to play anymore. And when you're carrying the chalice, there's a circle around it, and you can't leave the circle. So that's the coordinated effort of the game, is to move the circle while keeping everyone together and fighting everything that enters it. It's essentially that mind mode from Path of Exile. Obviously, that's the newer game, but it's similar, which is interesting. But if somebody goes AFK or is just not playing, the circle will actually make them walk with it.
If you have your menus open.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he was gone for a while, and he was just kind of walking with us anyway. So it seemed like he knew what he was doing. Because he was gone for almost the whole fucking thing. And then when he showed up randomly, he just like grabbed shit and started like moving like he didn't.
When we
wasn't gone for a
stopped
while.
progressing, he came back. Because I think he realized we were trying to figure out how to get rid of him.
Oh yeah, no, I was trying to kick him. At first, I was like, I'm pretty lenient about that shit because I don't mind playing with like random people and stuff like that. So like, I had no issue with him at first. And even when he's AFK, I'm like, maybe he had to go to the bathroom, or maybe his mom's fucking yelling at him, or maybe he's a grown ass man and he's like, I don't know if I need to go to the hospital if I'm having a heart attack. Wait, no, I'm good. I don't know what's going on with the guy. There's a lot of things can go on. So I'm cool with it. But then after a while, I'm like, I don't care what he's doing. Like he's just in the way at this point. So I'm trying to kick him, and then he's like, I'm back, and I'm like,
and then he took the chalice.
Yeah, I'm like, you motherfucker. He's probably sitting there going like, they'll take care of this for me. I don't need to play. And but yeah, when I play with random people, it almost feels easier than playing with your friends, because you literally just go into a dungeon, go, okay, this is open, and then people just kind of pop in. Luckily, it's got cross-play, so there's people on all sorts of consoles showing up to play with you. And I never ran into issues finding people to play with. It's also nice, too, because people who are just looking to grind what are they, artifacts? I could see them just joining random games to just try and collect all the artifacts. Because in the game, you run around, you're finding treasure chests on each map, which makes it so you got to kind of explore. Even on like the first level, there's this treasure chest that I had located. Chris was like, I haven't found the way up there. And I was like, oh, you got to go down here. So we kind of went up there, and there's an artifact there. And once you collect the artifacts at the end, depending on these weird objectives everybody gets randomly, which I think is kind of neat, it puts everybody in a certain part, 1 through 4, of who gets to pick their artifact first. And you go through and essentially go through the booty Koopo and pick your artifacts. And it's kind of a neat system, because once you pick an artifact, you can't get that one again, right?
Yeah, it's a permanent stat upgrade.
Yeah, but you still can go through and get every artifact in that area. Yeah,
and it's also worth noting that when you find it, you temporarily have those stats throughout the map when you're playing too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's got a different system, but it's a neat system, and I think it really marries an arcadey Gauntlet Legends kind of feel with an RPG. I don't know. I think the game was super creative at the time. I feel like it was definitely a game worth revisiting, so I'm glad Square Enix decided to do that. I'd like to see them modernize the game a little bit or make a brand new one. I think it'd be fucking really exciting if they announced that Crystal Chronicles 2 and just kind of made everything more modern in it, but updated graphics too, while maintaining that fantasy cutesy look that it has. I would actually be really excited for a brand new one. All in all, I really enjoyed this game, and I plan on playing it more.
Right on.
Anything else you guys want to say?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
I think recommendations is going to be an interesting conversation, because this game was obviously not for everybody, because a lot of people had issues with it. So I would add, with a caveat, the recommendations I am going to put out there are going to be just all my recommendations are going to be based off of if you're willing to play an older game, because it is an older game that's been cleaned up, but it's still an older game. So if you're like, I'm not going to play an old ass game, it is. So you're probably not going to dig it. Although I would still say fucking try it out, figure it out. It's free on a lot of things. Like they got their little free baby mode on fucking
the light mode.
Yeah. I mean, you can literally try the game out. So
I think you get like a third of the maps too. So
I think you get 3 dungeons or something like that.
Is it only 3? I thought it was a third of them for some reason.
Or 12 or something. I don't know. I think there's 12 max, isn't there?
I think so. And 3 to 4 would be.
I'm pretty sure you get 3, but you can still play with people in their full game or something.
If they own it, you can join them. So.
But so you can try it out, and so I have a soft recommendation to tell anybody, if they're curious about it, to try it out for free. That being said,
you got nothing to lose.
If you like cooperative arcade action games that are simplistic in their gameplay, or if you like games like Gauntlet Legends, Phantasy Star Online, I know those aren't very comparable games, but some things in this game kind of feel like some of those games. If you like cooperative games where you have to work as a tight-knit team, literally, because you're in the fucking circle together, maybe like Helldivers, except for not as difficult.
Or like we brought up earlier, Magica,
100%. If you like Magica, I would definitely recommend this. You kind of get where I'm going with this when I'm saying like action RPGs that are kind of top-down, but like not Diablo. I think you might dig this. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, I feel like you should definitely check it out. It's not like a mainline Final Fantasy, but if you like Final Fantasy and the continuity of all the things that are Final Fantasy throughout all the games, you like the atmosphere of Final Fantasy games, definitely check it out if you haven't. I don't know. If you like RPGs, although this isn't like a hard RPG, but it definitely has RPG mechanics to it in some ways, I would say definitely check it out. If you like creative games that use magic in creative ways, I would definitely check this out. Again, Magica. There's been a couple other games that do interesting things on how you cast magic. if you like games where you party up with your friends to go fight bosses or complete missions together, even something similar to, like you said this earlier, but like hub-based games like Vindictus, Monster Hunter, PSO, really any of those kind of games, you might dig this experience. It is a lesser experience in its mechanics of how you can party up and go out and do stuff, but it is a similar experience. And yeah, if you like fucking Oregon Trail, you might dig this because it has like a wagon and random events and stuff like that. It's Oregon Trail light. It's Final Fantasy Trail.
There's no dysentery.
Booty Kupo Trail. Anything else you guys want to add? If you like painting Moogles, you can do that.
I don't know if they know they like it yet.
Oh, you will. I've done it.
I don't know. I think you pretty much covered all the ones I was thinking of. It is definitely going to take a very particular type of person, though, I think, because there is a level of patience I think you have to play it.
Yeah, you have to. I kind of said this to you before, but like me and you, and I feel like Chris liked this game as well from what he said. Obviously, he can represent that when he grades it, but me and you were talking, and me and you will tolerate quite a bit from a game as long as it's not broken or shitty or
the
predatory.
Overall experience is still positive.
Yeah. So I jokingly said to you, well, half jokingly, that this game is for a certain type of person, not with what it does on paper, but just how it plays.
Yeah.
Certain people are going to tolerate it, certain people aren't. And there's nothing wrong with people who don't tolerate it.
For sure.
I can see why somebody would go, that's a little too fucking dated. It's a little too janky to get around in that game. I don't really enjoy that experience. Completely valid. But if you can get around that, if you are one of the people who, people who are like, I don't want to grind in a game. Well, depends on what you're talking about when it comes to grinding. Some games feel like shit grinding, but some games have really exciting loot and really exciting things to unlock. And like I can find myself fucking grinding all day.
Yeah.
I don't mind as long as the gameplay loop is fun. Some people won't tolerate that. So, it's just kind of different ways of looking at games.
Well, people have different sorts of time in their life, which actually brings me to a recommendation point. If you don't have a lot of time, the missions are short. Mm-hmm. They're super short. You can knock one or two out real quick, go on to something else. Really easy. So,
unless you're playing with AFK people.
Yeah. Anything to add, Chris?
No. I was going to add that it's a quick digest game. You could really hop in and out of games if you wanted to.
Yeah.
If you like Need for Speed, play Need for Speed.
If you like Madden and NBA Jams and MLB The Game,
I like how jams is plural.
Don't play this game.
It's been a couple jams. If you like the NBA Jams, I'm catching the Pokemans.
All right, Granddad.
That's Grandma. I'm Grandma.
Oh.
We grading?
We can grade. Chris, y'all, you good?
Yeah.
All right. I want to know your grade.
My grade.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this a solid B. I really like the game a lot. I mean, I've made it to year 4, so I've gone through the little adventures 4 times in a row. I like the little stories and how the map will slowly evolve over time. Some dungeons get a little more content to them, depending on how far you've progressed in the game. The only thing I wouldn't make it like maybe a B+, A- territory for me would be the multiplayer functionality of it is not the best. And that's really what the game is based upon, is multiplayer. But I enjoy it thoroughly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I can handle how it is, but I would prefer it to be better, the multiplayer. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you would get more people to play this game who don't tolerate that. If they would have, I keep saying you like you made this.
I'm sorry, I tried my best. All right.
If you would just make this game correctly, Chris, people would play it instead of just us being nice to you.
Well, with how many multiplayer lobbies are open, people bought it. So
I open up my lobby all the time. People just fucking show up.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are you? All right, let's go. Every time they pop in, there's like they'll walk over like chalice. I'm like, okay, you take it, and they just start going. They always are quick to grab that. I also understand now why people were like, I was playing with people and like we'd kill something and I'd run over and I thought we had shared loot and I'm just grabbing everything and they'd come running to him like, what the fuck, dude? Like, get away from me. Every time like something dropped, they'd come running. I'm like, why are you in such a hurry? It'll be there. It's shared. And then Chris Lair was like, spells aren't shared. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, wait. That's why people are like, give me a fucking spell, please.
Please.
Why are you taking all the spells? You're not even using them. They're probably just fucking ripping their hair out. Like, what the fuck is he doing?
The little fucking onion guy was like, they're my spells, but I smash.
These are my spells, but I smash. You don't need spells. These are my spells. Fucking.
Goddamn Yuffie.
Yeah. So B, I'm gonna give it a B too. I was thinking about maybe giving it a B plus, but I think it's a little strong because I'm not in love with the game, but I really like it. And I would really like a sequel. I really like this game to be streamlined more, even though I don't think they're going to do that. But as I said in the recommendations, I can't recommend it to everybody. In fact, I would say cautiously try it out first before you buy it. I wouldn't want you to buy it and be like, I fucking wasted money on this. But I really dug it. I like it a lot. I cannot and probably will not play this game by myself. I know you can do it, and I know some people might enjoy that, but I enjoy myself playing with people so much that the single player experience feels like it's taking away from that for me. Luckily, I'm not opposed to playing with random people in really any game. So, finding strangers to play, through these dungeons.
Don't say that around Chris.
Stranger danger.
Will be easy for me to do unless you guys are playing as well, in which it, seems to work pretty decently.
Unfortunately, it doesn't matter what year you're on. You can still go back and play with people. So.
Yeah, we played just fine. I really liked it. It's got a couple setbacks. It is an old game, so I'm not. It's not even affecting my grade on how old it is because that's just the factor, and that's up to me to decide if I'm going to play an older game or not. This isn't a remake.
Yeah, I'm not going to play Final Fantasy 1 and be like, God, this game's dated.
God, why
it's like it's from the 80s.
Fuck doesn't have a fucking materia system in it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If I play the old Contras, like, why is this fucking 2D perspective? Well, that's how it was. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, really liked it. B, it's really easy. I can't go B minus. I think that's too low. Can't go B plus because it's got some work that could have been done to it. But I think it's serviceable and I think it works well. And in the right circumstances, I think it's a really fun game. But I do think the game can vary on how fun it can be per situation, because I know people, including myself, that didn't enjoy it by themselves as much as with people, or didn't play with people, so they don't know if they like it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, for the same reasons you just gave, where it kind of fits in there because one I feel is too harsh and one's too giving. For the game, and also this would be one of the rare occasions where we're all unanimous. I also think it's a B. I don't think it deserves to be minus because it is fun. It's unique. It's got things that other games don't have in it, and it's kind of the hop in, hop out nature of it is welcome because I don't always need a long sit. That being said, it needs modernized pretty bad. And not necessarily as a detriment, but enough to where like it could never be an A. So yeah, I think like you said, I think most people should at least give it a shot. It's free to try it. Maybe you end up liking it, and if enough people end up picking it up, maybe they will do other ones. But if not, it was neat they even brought it back. So
Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles will be like, from the guy who made Devil May Cry and Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 14 and Final Fantasy 13.
And now mix like 4 different
Parasite
directors.
Eve and fucking oh no. What was that mech RPG that it's not Front Mission? Brave Fencer? No.
Xeno? Gears or Saga? I guess both.
Not Saga. Saga's fucking a banger. Well, all these games I'm naming are bangers. Fucking.
Well, you're talking about Xeno Chronicles.
Yeah, but that was made by the same guy who made Xenosaga.
So Xenogears.
You sure?
Not 100%.
A guy like Xeno. Yeah, maybe all those people. We'll finally get Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicle 2. And you're just going to tap the button and you guys going to go...
I don't remember what the second one was called. It's like a Brave New World or something like that.
Flying around in the air with a sword, teleporting and hitting people.
Was Nomura making this?
Yeah, every character, all 4 of them in the circle are going to be flying around. Go like Dragon Ball Z.
Definitely Nomura. Here, let's make them look real edgy. Make them all look like Gokt.
Oh my god, I would love if all 4 of them look like they're in a boy band. Like Final Fantasy 15.
And just fly around.
Everybody's like, hey, I'm really hungry. And they're like, ha, you would be. And the guy's like, I'll make the food for everybody. And they're all these little chubby dudes with cool hair, and they all get in a car.
They made that already.
Yeah, but not like that. Well, no, they did. They did make chubby mode.
They did.
But make it look like this. Make it Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles with onion people. That'd be sick. I'd buy that. I don't give a shit. I was making a joke that like they just kind of swap people around at Square Enix, but now I'm telling them to just swap all their ideas into one game.
Not even a joke.
I know. I wasn't joking.
What director's available right now? Go.
They're like, you make good game? Like, I make good game. I'm like, all right, you're making this next good game. He's like, okay, I'll make the good game. I feel like, yay, he made a good game. I want to get a good game. Like, Square Enix is God.
They are on a redemption arc right now for sure. So
Better than Bethesda. Their redemption arc is give me money, Microsoft, and they're like, sure.
Well, first they needed 12 years of Skyrim money. And now they
once that started drying up just a little bit, they're like, what are we going to do?
Where's the Microsoft money? Give me.
Now Skyrim's not selling as much as it was for 12 years. What do we do? Sell us.
It's like a cat with a food dish. Oh no, it's slightly empty. Help. Help.
Help. Somebody with a lot of money buy me.
Oh, man.
And they did it. Anything else?
No.
Let us know in the comments. Did you play Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles? Did you not play it? Why didn't you play it? Are you gonna play it? Are you thinking about maybe trying that free version? If you did play it, what did you think of it? Did you play the original version? Did you play the new version? Do you mind the way they did multiplayer? Did you play the multiplayer? I know a lot of you guys played single player, because Stranger Danger. What race did you play? Which one do you like? Do you like the way the game is set up? Do you like the combat? Do you not like the combat? And what would you grade it? And
what? This question you guys can answer too, but what side Final Fantasy would you like to see them revisit?
Tactics.
I knew you were going to say Tactics.
I would take Tactics too. Front mission.
That's not Final Fantasy.
I know. Just call Final Fantasy Front Mission. I don't give a fuck.
I said it earlier, but I think Explorers should be revisited. So.
See, I agree with both of you because I want both of those.
Same.
I mean, what's some more Final Fantasy side games? I can't think of any off the top of my head. Don't say Brave Exvius.
Chocobo Dungeon.
Oh, I got that, and they make new ones. Yeah, I have it. It's great. That game's simple too. Chocobo Racing.
Dissidia. I want a better
That's
Dissidia
a
than
side
what they
thing,
made.
and it's in 14. So
I thought there was a game on PlayStation that was like Chocobo Racing.
just in 7, to my knowledge.
Oh. I remember a game where somebody's on a chocobo. Fucking. I'll have to look into that. What other Final Fantasy side games are there? There's got to be something.
It's technically Type 0 is a side project.
I mean, yeah. Fucking Final Fantasy 15 was supposed to be a side game.
Well, it's at the very least supposed to have some side games.
So let's get another Final Fantasy 15.
I don't know if a lot of people agree with you on that one.
I think Final Fantasy Tactics for sure, but I think Explorers needs to be visited. It needs to be rethought about whether they, make it for console or make a new one, because there's a really cool idea there, and it's in that it is taking the Monster Hunter formula, but not exactly the same.
Like everything Final Fantasy, it still has.
It also still feels like a cooperative RPG.
Yeah.
It just borrows that you go back to a hub, you craft stuff, and then you go out and you go after monsters. But it's also like random objectives and shit too to do.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that explored more. There's a shitload of classes too you can pick from, which is awesome. Just like in Monster Hunter, there's a bunch of weapons, so it makes sense. But it was just if somebody's got a good idea and someone can bring something fresh to it, like the Battle Royale genre right now, everybody's making one of those, but then some people have really cool ideas. why not? Or, Souls likes, another great example. People are like, stop copying. I'm like, wow, some of those copies are really fucking good.
Well,
You don't want variety?
We're about to get Fantasy May Cry, so
Oh yeah.
I'm at 16.
Yeah. But yeah, anything else?
No, I just thought it was a fun question. So
Yeah. Let us know in the comments what you think about that. What game, what side Final Fantasy project would you like to see revisited? Or any really Square Enix From Mission game would you like to see come back? And yeah,
someone make this man a fucking Front Mission game.
please. I
Also reboot
love
Parasite Eve.
and not in a shitty way.
Don't do Third Birthday, but the other two.
During that fucking slump of like Square Enix just going, you guys want this shit? And you're like, no. Like, well, you're gonna get it. That was just them for years.
Yeah.
They were like Parasite Eve, and people were like, even then, people were so far into Square Enix not being that great anymore that they're like, here's a new Parasite Eve, and it's come out on, wasn't it a portable game?
Vita.
Yeah, and people were like, I feel like I should be excited for that, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I should be.
That reviewed real.
And then it came out,
too.
people were like, this is awful, and people were like, I fucking knew it.
So
I was one of those people.
It was already convoluted, and I guess they made it even worse. So,
Which is such a shame.
yeah.
Because people were like, we want a new Parasite Eve, and they're like, you're gonna get one, but not in a good timeline for us when we're making bad games. So yeah, now that they're on their stride and doing well, I'd love to see a new Parasite Eve. Anyway, let us know in the comments everything you're thinking about when it comes to Crystal Chronicle and all the other shit we talked about. But that's gonna do it for this game of the month for September. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter,
The tweeter.
at Tasty Loot Gaming. Check out our Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. If you prefer to listen to us, we're getting like 30-something listens an episode now on there, which is really cool. I was also scrolling down. I found one episode, like 80 people listened to it. Some like random topic. I was like, what the fuck's going on there? Because that's not like YouTube. It's like on like 8 different platforms.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is weird. Yeah. What else? We got Discord, all that shit, and Patreon. Link down below if you like to support the channel, and type in hashtag STLG on your comment if you want to be on the show. And yeah,
And let's get 2,000.
let's get to 2,000 subscribers. Let's grow this community. I love the community. I love the conversations we have every week, and I would like to extend that. Let's get let's push the idea that you can talk about fucking games and not have to worry about some guy going, "Hey, you fucking Xbot, you fucking
You like a video game?
you Sony pony."
How dare you?
Sony pony's a real
pony.
thing. Sony pony's a real thing, dude. Xbox fans on Twitter call people Sony ponies all the time. And then they call them Xbots. And fucking people just get pissed as soon as someone's like, I'm really excited for this PlayStation 4 game. You're like, you fucking moron. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. And they're like, well, you just fucking love batteries. And like, hey, Microsoft gives us options. It's not for idiots like you. And I'm like, this is so unproductive. Anyway, 2,000 subscribers. Let's grow this out. Let's not have those conversations here. You can have them on Twitter. I fucking see them all the time. Just not here. This is where we have nuanced conversations. But yeah, my name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
Until next episode, which is going to be something. Isn't something happening soon?
I mean, TGS happened,
Yeah.
and we didn't really cover it.
So there's like 3 things, and 2 of them I'm interested in checking out. I know Nier Replicant, they showed gameplay of that, and there's a 44-minute video of Monster Hunter Rise, which we should probably watch.
Yep.
I mean, we were really on top of Monster Hunter World as that was coming out, so I'm really interested in seeing it. So anyway, until the next episode, there's something coming out. Till then, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.